Welcome to Social PR Secrets. My name is Lisa Beyer, and I'll be your host. In this episode, I catch up with Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick. At the time of this interview, they had just published The Art of Social Media. In this episode, we talk about all of the different social PR secrets that have to do with the art of social media and also the science. Enjoy the interview. Okay, welcome everybody. We have a very exciting Google Hangout on the air today. I'm very excited to announce Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick, the authors of our book, The Art of Social Media, are here with us today. Two greats in the industry. Hi, Guy. Hi, Pat. Peg.
Hi.
Peggy, sorry.
That's okay. You got Fitzpatrick right. You could. I guess I have a
Fitzpatrick,
50-50
yep.
shot with my name.
So thank you so much. So we're coming from all different parts of the United States today. And, we're talking to the future social media managers of the world, University of Florida juniors and seniors who are studying social media management. They're in the College of Journalism. And we'd love to just hear your, share some of your words of wisdom with us. And I'm going to just get right into it and say, okay, what made you write The Art of Social Media?
Peggy.
Okay.
That was my answer. I wasn't telling you to speak. The question was, what made you write the book? And Peggy's.
I did make him write the book, and then later I have my idea for my next one, guys. So since you were so open to this one, that is true. I actually did make Guy write the book, but the reason that we wrote the book together is because we both love social media. And we get asked a lot how we do what we do. How do you do all the things that you do? Because there's a lot of information out there. There's so many blogs. There's so many books. At first, Guy was like, I don't want to write a social media book. There's so many out there. And it's true. There really are. But what Guy and I do is different than what other people do. We aren't spending all of our time measuring everything with metrics or, we're not over analyzers in the bigger picture. We're like day to day, just doing it, seeing what works, repeating it, and just enjoying it. So we kind of have maybe like our joy of social media made us write it. Maybe it could be the joy of social media. Why didn't we think of that?
Really? Everything you wanted to know about social media but was afraid to ask.
Somebody probably already wrote that.
Well, what I love about it is, and Guy, this is very much like your previous books, is that it's right down to the brass tacks of what you need to know right now. You just cut straight to the chase and get down to business, and that's why I picked this book for the class, because you cut through all the fluff.
We're not into fluff.
No.
No.
Guy cut out all the fluff. I added some. But Guy cut it all out. It's okay.
We have like 2% fluff.
Nah, there's not even 2%.
How long did the book take you to write?
Oh, about 8 years.
No, it didn't take us 8 years.
Well, we started on social media 8 years ago, so it took 8 years. So.
Right. It's all of our stuff wrapped up. So if you want to do experience and Guy's writing expertise, which is a whole other level of it.
Then it's 30 years.
Yes, 30 years total. But total time to write the book was actually much shorter than that, because I followed the guidelines in Guy's previous book, APE, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur, and I used the template in the book to start it as an outline, and then I opened it up and I was like, wow, and I just started writing. So I kind of, because Guy really did say yes, no, maybe yes again. I already had like the outline done, and I already had like whole big huge sections in there. And so basically, gosh, it wasn't really that long, maybe 4 or 5 months, Guy.
Yeah, something like that, 4 or 5 months.
So it was short. It compared to like maybe it was not like Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind or anything as far as like how long it took us to write it. And we're both super on task, and we were Guy would write and then he would send it back to me, and we would just keep going back and forth, which is a great thing that you can do in this modern world with Dropbox and Microsoft Word and all those super cool tools. And being on different time zones, I would be doing stuff later at night and then Guy would get it in the morning. So like it was a really interesting and fun process, I thought. Didn't you, Guy?
Yep, it was a great experience. And I'm not necessarily into using co-authors.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Congratulations to both of you. I'm pouring champagne for us during this
Thank
Google
you.
Hangout. Everybody can have some. Um, okay, so the first question I have, getting right into the social media part of it. So, Guy, you are an evangelist. You were the evangelist for Apple, now for
Mhm.
Canva, which I happen to love, love, love. So, what does it mean to be an evangelist, and how does that tie into social media?
So evangelism comes from Greek words meaning to bring the good news or spread the good news. So with Macintosh, I was spreading the good news of Macintosh, how it's, a better way of doing computers with a graphical user interface. With Canva, I'm spreading the good news of Canva, how it's democratizing design. And so I'm an evangelist for social media also because I think social media is good news. It improves people's lives, particularly marketers, because social media is fast and free and ubiquitous.
And how can so you're an official evangelist for Canva and for Apple. So what about the unofficial evangelist? How can you use social media to create this evangelism for your brand, whether it's a personal brand or
Sure.
small or large size brand?
Well, evangelism is all about, outward focus, informing people, entertaining people, helping them, creating value, all that. And so, prior to social media, I guess you had email, you had a fax machine, but now with social media, there's so many platforms to use, and this hangout on air, 10 years ago, we would not be hanging out on air. You'd be waiting for a time where Peg and I flew to Florida and we did a video recording, right? And the odds of the three of us being in the same city at the same time is basically zero. So this is a very good example of how social media and the technology has changed evangelism.
Definitely. And Peggy, what do you think? So you named your book The Art of Social Media. Is there more art or science when it comes to social media?
That's a good question. And the working title was actually The Art and Science of Social Media. But as I kind of indicated, and since you guys are already reading the book, we're not big on metrics, but we do test things all the time. So for us, that's kind of like the social media lab science part of it, is the testing and experimenting. So I think it's actually both, marketing and social media, it's not cut and dry. You can't just say do X, do X, do X. You have to add in little bits of magic and fun. And, the more fun you're having when you're doing things, the more fun other people have. Sometimes I'll spend a long time, writing a blog post, doing all this research, making it perfect, doing all these graphics, and then I'll post something, and it will do, fine. And then I'll post, that I made cookies with pictures of the cookies, and that will be more popular. So you can't necessarily manufacture what people are going to like or love. So that's kind of the art and sciences. You're kind of like working a whole bunch of different elements, I feel.
And I'm glad you brought up perfect with social media. So how perfect or how not perfect is social media? And do you have to be perfect in social media?
I don't think anybody can be
No,
perfect anywhere. I mean, I
no.
think that's something that you learn later in life. I think when you're in high school and in college for sure, you're on this like driven path and you want your life to be perfect. And I can just say, I was thinking about the other day, one of the things about being in your 20s is you worry about so many things that never happen. I was thinking, wow, I've been married for a really, really long time, and I was thinking, wow, you used to worry like, what do I look like when I wake up in the morning? And then eventually you're like, that does not matter. It's just,
At,
it's,
at my age, I'm just happy to wake up in the morning.
I know, right? So I think that's something that if you try to make things too perfect, that it actually can make your social media suck. And I will use an example that we found a while ago for this brand that hired an agency to create this perfect content about fancy cheese. And it was like 3 months to compose one tweet. I mean, for goodness sakes, the cheese was bad by then. So was your content. Don't overthink things. I think when things get overthought, that it kind of takes the fun out of it. I think you should, be perfect in your spelling, in your grammar, and not use text slang in your social media marketing messages because it is professional. It's a different language. But I don't think things have to be perfect. Sometimes I just create something on the fly, and honestly, if I went back and looked, those are probably some of the most popular things I've done. Or if Guy and I are like goofing around or just tweeting something funny, people like that the most. And so overthinking it can ruin it, in my opinion.
And so social media is human. And can you share some mistakes that you've made that were just, the human error of social media?
Well, I've often done things like I use a bunch of different tools, and let's just say that every tool has its level of uncertainty. So
Mhm.
I've done things like made a post 3 times identical, 5 minutes apart, right?
And
Which is not,
did the world stop?
yeah, no, the world did not stop, and in fact, I got more traffic on all three. So yeah, that kind of that's like that's the social media equivalent of 3M was trying to make this really strong glue, and they ended up making a really weak glue, and it turned into a post-it pad, right? So I was trying to make this one perfect post of this picture of this car in Toronto, and I didn't know that the thing posted because I never got a confirmation, so I posted it like 3 times, and lo and behold, I got just as many likes and comments and pluses on the same thing 3 times. So then I said, maybe it's not so bad to repeat things. And that just led to a whole nother line of thought that has significantly improved my social media.
I would say one mistake that is easy to make if you start managing social media for a brand or for someone else, you need to make sure you use a separate platform when you're starting out to make sure that you don't accidentally tweet your personal tweet as the brand, because that can happen. So if I prefer to use, regular Twitter, if I'm managing for a brand, then I would do that in Hootsuite. So mentally, when I'm in Hootsuite, I know I'm tweeting as the brand because it does take it's much different doing social media for a brand or for someone else or a company than it is to do your own personal social media. You do have to stop and think before you hit publish more than just, on your phone. And I tend to not do very much social media for brands on my phone because I like to be able to check it and see it on the keyboard. I do sometimes do it, but I prefer not to unless it's Instagram where you really don't have a choice. But then I will like save my images, send it to my phone. I'll still create something not necessarily on my phone or iPad, but so that's a tip that we didn't talk about that in the book. But if you're learning to use social media for someone other than yourself, do it on a different platform.
That's a great tip.
Or,
So can I
or,
ask, oh, go
or,
ahead.
or don't use social media as a person like me. So I only have one presence, which is brand.
Hmm.
Yes, but yes, and that's how most people are. So that is true. So you don't have to worry about that. But since the students all want to eventually be brand managers, that's a good tip for them.
And get paid, you mean?
Yeah, they want to get paid.
So can you share what's a day in the life of both of you like? I know, Guy, you're probably globe-trotting, going from speaking engagement to speaking engagement, and Peggy, you are too, probably. So what are you doing? What's a day in the life look like?
So for me, I get up at 7. I leave the house at 7:30. I take one of my 2 kids to school. On the way back, I stop and have pancakes.
Every day.
And yeah, and and then if there's a hangout like this, the first time I usually have a meeting is like 8:30 or 9. And so it could be this, it could be a face-to-face meeting. And then after that, I answer email for a couple hours, and then I go play hockey, and then I go have lunch and answer email, and then I pick up one of my kids, and then I come home and I answer email and do social media. Then we have dinner, and then I answer email and have social media. So like I'm kind of like,
In a book.
yeah, well,
And it's different.
well, it is different, but I don't want to paint the picture that when I'm writing the book, I'm so disciplined that I ignore social media and email because I don't. I just add
Yeah.
it to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't
True.
believe in going off the grid?
Uh, I'm not off the grid. The only time I'm off the grid is when I'm in an airplane, and I even try to pick flights with wireless. So
That's the first thing I ask on every plane. Is there wireless? And then when it says there's wireless and there's no wireless, like for 3 hours, I still try to get it, which really
and,
never works.
and
But
like now, Lufthansa flying from San Francisco to Europe has wireless the whole way.
really,
Yeah, which is life changing. Yeah.
that is.
It totally is. Peggy, what's a day in the life like for you?
I have like two different kinds of days because there's the day, and Guy kind of does do that's like Guy's day at home, and then there's like the day when you're out doing stuff. So most of the time, I am at home. I have the world's best job. It's true. I'm on social media all the time and getting paid for it. So amen to me. But but that also means that it's like 24/7. So, there's a downside to it. It's a great job, but I am always, because Guy's doing his thing, I'm always doing other things. I'm making sure things are posting properly. I'm checking comments. I'm running communities. I do a lot of different things. And then I'm a blogger, so I write things. And, Guy and I are doing book publicity right now. So we're doing a ton of webinars and hangouts. And that is that because that's taking time, that I have to figure out when I'm going to get all the other stuff done. And we had a webinar yesterday that was just off the hook amazing, and people were still tweeting about it like 9, 10 hours later. It trended on Twitter. Like, just getting caught up with the tweets and posts, it's like, ooh, like you can't wait for that to happen. But wow, when it does, like every time I go on Twitter now, I have zillions of notifications, and now I'm like, that's just me. That's my stuff because I do my stuff. Guy has like 10.2 million followers everywhere, and I have like 800,000. So we both, I'm managing, a lot.
And it's
So,
not like I can wait till the next day or anything to answer some of those things
No.
or acknowledge.
it's just not a good idea to wait. That if once you get involved in it, I mean, that's the thing. Off the grid is just not a thing for me. I really haven't had time when I've been offline for a really long time. I did go to Italy. I was off a little bit there.
Okay. Well, that
um,
sounds exciting.
Yeah, but then we have other days where, occasionally Guy and I will be at a conference together, and then that's a totally different day because we're meeting people, talking about our book. Those are like a little bit more, fun, glam days, but those are also, then you're still doing social media while you're doing that. So it's, you know, we're kind of like on all the time.
Thank you for sharing that. One of my favorite tips in the book, Peggy, that was from you actually, was combining visual with just everyday blog posts, and that's
Mm-hmm.
creating a board or creating pins for each one of your blog posts. I love that tip. And can you share anything else? I know you work with big brands like Motorola and Canva and Google, but translate a couple tips that we can do from a personal branding standpoint like that.
Okay, so if you have your own personal blog, you want to create a brand presence for yourself. If you look at my little lower third, that little pink P, I put that on all the graphics that I make for my blog. I do, instead of like a clear banner, it has like a pink one that's translucent, transparent. So you want to create a visual brand for yourself. There's a lot of great content out there to help you do that. It seems maybe more complicated than it is, but with a tool like Canva, you can create a visual brand. You just want everything to match. So like that pink color is the color that's on my blog, and I use that same little color code, and I use that to create Facebook headers and Twitter covers, and sometimes on Instagram graphics, I'll put the little thing. So it's kind of, think of you, maybe you're not going to be Apple per se, but everything that you buy from Apple or see from Apple has the Apple logo on it, and you know that and you recognize it, or the Coca-Cola logo, which has been exactly the same logo since what, 1902 or something like that. It's like their logo's like the best deal ever by a company. Who knows what they paid for that, but they haven't changed it. And Pepsi, it changed their logo constantly, and who even knows what theirs looks like today? I don't.
I can't even picture it,
Yeah,
actually.
I can't even either. So creating a visual brand is easy to do. You just, you work with it, you tweak it a little bit, ask people what they think about it, get the right font that fits like your personality, and then just stick with it. And use that. I make little templates for myself in Canva, and I use the same colors. And then people know when they're on Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter, when they see it, that it's from my blog, and hopefully they say, "Ooh, I can't wait to read that. I liked her last blog post." That's the theory behind good branding. You know, you see the Apple logo and you immediately think, "Okay, I need that." Whatever it is. Thanks to Guy, we're all like, "I need that iPad." I don't know if you guys remember the first time you saw the iPad commercial on TV. I almost had a heart attack. I was like, oh, I think I need that. And my husband was like, you don't need that. You want it. I'm like, no, I think I need it. You know, it's that you want to create that like love of your brand. So when people see it, they recognize it and they love it. So personal branding is kind of like a people say there's no such thing as a personal brand and you shouldn't say you're a brand, but there's not really another way to say it. It's just what you're doing is creating like an environment for yourself that people recognize, and then they grow to know it and love it and want more of it.
Well, speaking of personal brands, Peg, we should mention that one of the most powerful platforms for personal brands is LinkedIn.
Yes.
And people really need to do a great job on LinkedIn. They can add various forms of media to a LinkedIn profile today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to take really seriously. That is the outward-facing brand for many people.
Especially college students, which I think it's gone much younger. Even high school students sometimes now have LinkedIn. But for college students, if you have professors like Lisa, who you just love, and you learned a lot in her class, get recommendations from your professors to talk about projects that you did. There's a whole section for projects, as a matter of fact, on LinkedIn. Do you talk about this in your class, Lisa?
Oh, definitely. And my intern is going to kill me for mentioning this, but she was with me. She started with me last summer. She's never even heard of LinkedIn, and she was in her second year of college. And this is normal. I mean, that's
She never heard of LinkedIn. Is she from New Hampshire or what?
No. She knows about LinkedIn now, though, and she's well on board. But it's surprising. It's definitely catching on with the college students, but it's not as mainstream as you would think. And I totally agree that I think LinkedIn is the new black. LinkedIn Blue is the new black for sure.
Yep.
It is, and getting started while you're in college before you're out and would have to go back and connect to people, get your profile set up now. Do a great professional photo. Again, it doesn't have to be a professional photo shoot, but just make sure it's not, you at a frat party or, something. It's not Facebook. So you definitely don't want it to be like Facebook, but you will have a big head start for job searches if you put your internships on there and your special projects that you worked on. If you do, work with companies, you want to list that on there. So, and if you have a blog, definitely post all your things on your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, perfect. That's great advice. Okay, so now moving on to the next guy. I was actually at your fireside chat at SES maybe 5 years ago when you were talking about repeating tweets, and people were like, what? And I totally got it because I'm in public relations. I get it. But the search industry at first was like, what is he talking about? So that was
I got ripped for that.
I thought it was brilliant. And now it's a best practice. It was in New York.
Yeah, in New York. Right.
Yeah, I was right there, but I was right with you, and now, of course, it's considered a best practice. So for 2015, what do you see as some of the biggest trends in social media?
I think that it's going to be a Pinterest/LinkedIn/SlideShare year. I mean, that's, like I just can't wait to find more knitting examples on Pinterest every day, right?
Exactly.
But seriously, Pinterest, LinkedIn, SlideShare, that's the year.
Is it? Okay, Peggy, what do you think?
Well, Guy took my answer, of course. But I will say, I think, Facebook video, uploading video straight to Facebook is becoming hot, and it's doing really well for Facebook pages. So I think it's the year of video as well. It's the year that people need to get their camera out and learn iMovie, which is totally me. I need to learn iMovie. I'm good getting in front of camera. Now I need to learn how to edit. So I think those are skills that younger people actually have more than older people. They're so much better at getting in front of the camera. But it's learning the next skills of, how to share your videos and get them out there in the world. So I think it's a year of video.
Okay, so my next question, I don't know if we've already answered it, but what's totally in when it comes to social media and what's out? What's just like, so yesterday it's not even funny.
Hmm.
Well,
I,
repeating tweets are in.
yeah, repeating tweets are in. It's hard to say what's out. You know, when stuff goes out for us, we just 100% straight up forget about it.
Yeah.
I thought Twitter was slowing down a little bit, but I don't know. It's been picking up again lately. As far as the great content that I'm seeing there, and I love the live events like the Oscars and Super Bowl, and I
Yeah.
love seeing like hashtags on TV. It just makes me happy.
I thought it was interesting how for the State of the Union, CNN was live tweeting, throughout it, and
Yeah,
that's something that kind of, we've been doing for a long time, but now
yeah.
mainstream media is starting to catch up live tweeting through, reality shows and
The
um,
White House is on the ball. Their social media team rocks. Not this one, but a different address that the president gave. They were posting live quote graphics on Facebook. I was
wow.
like, you go, White House, you go. They really have an on the ball team. They do great stuff on Pinterest,
I
Tumblr.
wonder, I wonder if they're using Canva to do that.
I think they have Photoshop, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm gonna vote.
Guy,
I'm gonna vote for a Republican next time.
Yeah, right.
Guy, do you want to share what we were just talking about, the fireside chat and what, because the students actually don't even know that story, what happened, how you were
So,
predicting that?
so this, I went into the belly of the devil, which is basically the search engine business is a business of like sorcery and magic. It's kind of like going into Harry Potter, that school, and everybody has their own special.
That would be Hogwarts.
Yeah, Hogwarts. Okay, so they go into Hogwarts and they each have their own special spell and their own special wand and their own special soup, and then they're telling people that it's all
That is the
magic
best
and
way to describe it. I've never heard it
yeah.
described like that. I love it.
And so, if you put this right magical word in this right header, then, all of a sudden your results will be, not on the 30th page of Google results, but it'll be on the 25th page, and that's a 20% increase, and aren't we wonderful? And so, and I am just the antithesis of that, right? So my entire search engine optimization theory is that Google is looking for good shit, so you should just write good shit and Google will find you. That's it. That's it. And that just makes, SEO people crazy because it means that you just have to write good stuff. You don't need to do all their magic and hire them at, $1,000 an hour. So, let's just say that many people disagreed with much of what I said at that fireside chat. So,
But you had a prediction. You were talking about repeating tweets before
yeah.
anybody else was really doing it, and that was something that now everybody's going back to and saying he was right.
Well, I don't think they're going back and saying he was right. I think most people are saying, I just discovered that
Mm,
repeating tweets is effective.
right.
I
They're not gonna,
actually see you mentioned in a lot of the articles, Guy. They do give you credit
Oh,
for being,
yeah?
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
do.
they
They
do
give you
actually.
credit. They're like, Guy Kawasaki's full of crap. I'm going to test his theory. They're usually trying to prove you wrong,
Yeah.
and then they realize that you're right. So it's kind of like funny because they're like, he's full of malarkey. I'm going to test his stupid theory, and then they're like, more retweets, really? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Obamacare works. Yeah.
Uh, I
Uh,
don't think we should keep discussing politics.
Why? With people from Florida, what could be the danger of that?
okay, we're almost out of
There
time.
could be there could be votes that were in there more than once.
True. Okay, so what advice do you have for future graduates when it comes to social media, whether it's for a brand or even their own
Sure.
personal brands?
Well, my advice is if you're going to apply for a social media job, if I were the hiring manager, the first thing I would do is look at your social media profiles, right? And so if I go there and A, there's nothing, that's a problem. If I go there and your avatar is crap, that's a problem. If I go there and your cover photo is the default photo, that's crap. And if I see just a bunch of crap like my cat rolled over or the line at Starbucks is long or I have a hangover this morning, that's crap. So, people need to man or woman up and figure out that they're on stage, and if they want a job, they have to like play the game. So just deal with it.
Peggy, what about you?
That's good advice. I
Yeah.
think I think a hard thing for college students is, making sure that what you're posting is appropriate. Not only just, so that's something to think about, Sure, it seems like a great idea to post your pictures from the party on Facebook, but I think it's a hard time to grow up right now because all your mistakes are, God, I'm so glad there's not Instagram from when I was like 20. I am just so glad. I don't want to like see me being Kasha, you know,
I-
throwing
I'm
glitter in
I'm
the
glad I
air.
wasn't around like 5 years ago even.
What?
But
Pardon me?
when I was 20, you had like to take a flash, you had the gunpowder thing.
No, I said I'm glad Instagram wasn't around 5 years ago.
I know. So, there's a lot more to think about for people in college.
Yeah.
If you're going into
Have,
media and PR, so
have you
make sure the things that you're doing now are going to be good reflection for you later.
have you noticed that now that we're old, we always are warning kids to not do something stupid, but when we were young, we were doing stupid things. So
Yeah,
like
but I'm glad
we
there's
have,
no pictures. That's all.
yeah, we have selective memory that when we were young, we were studying hard, we were sober all the time, we didn't do drugs, we didn't do sex, we didn't do anything when I was your age, right? And now,
Now we're
oh
just sitting
man,
here drinking during our our hangouts at whatever time of day it is, doesn't matter.
yeah.
Well, besides this incredibly awesome book that we're reading, what other must reads or must follows are there for the students?
Uh, I would highly recommend, if I could see it right now on my shelf, I will even pull it out. It's a book called Influence by a guy named Robert Cialdini.
I haven't
So,
read that one yet.
wait, let Peg answer and I'll go look for it.
I would say follow Gary Vaynerchuk's Ask Gary V. He's doing a great series, and you can like tweet and ask questions to him. That would be a great thing for your students. He can't obviously answer everybody's questions, so he takes questions. He does these great videos and just gets like in your face, and he's very authentic and very funny. Um, let's see, other books I would recommend. Boy, that's so hard. I have a zillion books too. Um,
What about follow blogs to follow besides
Blog
yours?
to follow. Social Media Examiner is a great blog. I love their stuff. My friend Rebecca Radice. It's Rebecca. Well, you'll have to look her up, and she's got the funny Rebecca spelling. It's radice.com. I love her blog. Who else's blog do I love? Canva has a design school blog that you can learn how to do
Ooh,
Canva
that's a good
design.
one. Yeah,
And if you're just getting started with designs, Canva's YouTube channel has really great tutorials for people who want to learn how to do things. So, just do some research and find out who's out there writing about what you want to learn. Maximum Social Business is also a good one. They
okay.
have a
And
great
this is
variety.
this is Cialdini's book.
That looks, wait, talk guys, so it'll show on the screen.
Oh,
What do you like about it?
I love social psychology. I love all the tips he gives on how to influence and persuade people. This is a fantastic book. This should be required reading for startups.
Great, I love it. Okay, well, thank you both so much for joining us and hanging out with my class today from University of Florida College of Journalism. And we'll be following you throughout the class and reading your book, and really appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Social PR Secrets. If you like what you heard, check out the book on Amazon or follow our blog at socialprsecrets.com. This episode was sponsored by the Buyer Group, a social PR agency striving to keep our balance in the digital world, practicing public relations, social media, and search marketing, while occasionally drinking a glass of wine or two for the best creativity and results. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a free chapter of Social PR Secrets, please visit socialprsecrets.com. Social PR Secrets is a social PR agency striving to keep our balance in the digital world, practicing public relations, social media, and search marketing, while occasionally drinking a glass of wine or two for the best creativity and results. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a free chapter of Social PR Secrets, Go to socialprsecrets.com/free.